What's up, True Team? Listen, I thought they was done for today, but as long as they stay live, I'm gonna keep my live up. That's why I had to restart the live that we originally did. They did have a jury question, and it was what is a proffer? Okay, and let me give y'all the official definition because, and then I'll just tell y'all what I take a proffer as. A proffer to me is basically it's where you are supposed to tell the truth, and it can't be used against you type thing. So it's basically the official definition per Google. Okay, it says an offer or a proposal, or to hold out to someone for acceptance or offer. So it basically means you present facts, the truth. You hear lawyers say it all the time. Well, I'll proffer this. It means to tell the truth. Okay. Hold on. Did I not spell it the right way? No, hold on. Let me make sure I'm giving y'all the right definition. All right, let me give y'all the legal definition. In law, proffer refers to the acts of offering evidence or information to a court or during a legal proceeding. It is often used as support in argument or to present elements of a defense or offense. A party with the burden of proof must proffer sufficient evidence. So basically, you tell the truth, okay? And I know a couple people had hit me up on IG and said, well, who did a proffer? We heard, I want to say yesterday, we heard when, well, no, it wasn't yesterday. What day was Cornelius Smith on the stand? Whatever day Cornelius Smith was on the stand, it came out that he did a proffer, meaning he provided XYZ, which was supposed to be facts, truth, okay, truthful facts, okay? Thank you, Flat Out TV. So again, that was the only question. What is a proffer? Okay. What I can do, I'm gonna try to find another stream and I can let y'all just hear from the court, but again, y'all not like to break it down. Okay. So again, this is Verdict Watch. Verdict Watch. I ended my last live after 8 hours. I thought we was done, but they are still here. So I'm gonna keep my live going as long as they here. But your girl is about laying her tail in the bed. I just got the shower. I'm tired. I'll definitely be on my tablet. So we here though, okay?
The court can't answer these questions. Um, I could go ahead and say that would be um, admitting evidence without a witness to do so, or I could just say I can't respond.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not gonna like it, but they'll be all right. All right. We come off the record.
Court's back in recess.
question is, what is a proper statement? What does it entail? What are the details and what does it specifically protect? I don't think I can answer this. Yeah.
Okay.
Because none of that was, I mean, some of it was in the proof, but we didn't enter any other evidence.
Cornelius talked about it, but I understand. We talked about it with the lawyers, all that stuff, the proper protections that you can't be charged. He said, yeah.
Okay.
Could we just say it's a protected statement of police?
No. You can't say that. Even though it's kind of the truth. It is the truth, but no. I have to be very careful with I mean, that's almost putting evidence in without, without it coming from the saying. I have to be very careful when I answer, when I define things and things like that.
And I guess we can't answer it.
Yeah, I can't answer it. So I will respond. The court can't answer these questions. I could go ahead and say that would be admitting evidence without the witness to do so, or I could just say I can't respond and be done.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not gonna like it, but they'll be all right.
All right, y'all. So that was the full conversation. And to be honest, I really don't, maybe just because they heard it, but it's really not important. I agree with what's going on because at the end of the day, Cornelius Smith is not on trial. So the fact that he did a proffer or whatever means nothing. It's not like they enter into evidence that, Hernandez Govan did a proffer. So, but that's what they get for using, like, putting extra stuff in these cases, because the juries, they be wanting to know, well, what does this mean? I heard y'all talk about this, so what does this mean? Why did he sign it? And there you have it. So, if you're just pulling up, we are on verdict watch. It's not much going on, but as long as Law and Crime is live, we're live. We've been at it all day. Like I said, I ended my last live because I thought it was over. Okay, but it's not. So a lot of y'all will hit me up on Instagram like, Mickey, hey, where you at? We got to finish riding this thing out. And I say, you're right. So it's 7:12 my time, which is Eastern time. So that means it's 6:12 their time. They never said how long they're going to go. Sometimes they can go to 8 p.m., 9 p.m. But as long as this feed is on, we're here. I'm actually getting ready for the shutdown for the evening, but I'm here. But we're just waiting for the next question, the verdict, whatever. So y'all stay locked in with me. We in the comments. But I really don't want to do no other content because I don't want to miss nothing. I already missed the first question. So I really just want to focus on the verdict watch. That's it. So I don't really want to get into too much other stuff. So this live is solely for that. Verdict watch only. Jury questions only. And if we get a verdict, we're here. So as long as the feed go up, we here.
We can go back on the record.
Or the talking session?
Yes.
Jurors entering courtroom.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time this past week. You've been stuck in a hotel room with no TV, no internet, just to make sure that your mind doesn't get jaded with regards to anything you see on the press. We talked about first appearances. I also talked to you about the fragility of the criminal justice system, and I hope you can see the why now. I don't know anything about the 16 of you, which 12 are going to be the actual jurors. Mr. Govan doesn't know. I don't know if you have kids, if you're rich, if you're poor, if you live in Orange Mountain, if you live in a nice part of Nashville, Memphis. You see that I'm from Atlanta. But all I have is trust in you because you said you are peers to Mr. Govan. Mr. Govan, stand up. Come sit at the table and let them see you. It's time you're not marginalized anymore. Sit there while I talk. The fragility of the system is solely based on you. I don't know in what world the prosecution is living in this case, because unless they were watching something in the multiverse where other witnesses were saying perfect things, I don't know why we're here. You all should be embarrassed as a community that your district attorney thinks this evidence is sufficient to take a man's life for first-degree murder. You should be embarrassed that this is the person you voted for that brings this type of case. Just embarrassed. Many of you said you had a problem with the criminal justice system because too many people go free or they get bond. What they don't tell you, what the government doesn't tell you, and the press doesn't cover, is this is what happens when you don't have an advocate that knows what the hell they're doing, checks all the records, fights for you, and shows you that he didn't do it. That's just another black man that is of no value from Orange Mountain, that's poor, that has never had a voice in his life. I'm fixing that. My team is fixing that. He is indigent, he is poor, and he deserves better than he's gotten in this case. Sergeant Browning, who's the biggest liar that I'm going to go through with you, says we can't kidnap people and bring them in for questioning. What did Angela Arnold tell you? They threatened to have me arrested, being involved in this case if I didn't talk to her. We went to the airport and we figured he was going to assert his rights, so okay. What about the second guy, Mr. Sears? His lawyer said he wasn't in town. When you talk about accessories and all this other stuff that the judge has told you about, how about the people that helped hide him? How about the people that helped give him new clothes? How about the people that gave him medical treatment, assuming they were even shot? Because you know what? I don't even know if he was shot, and I don't even know for a fact if that was the Mercedes used in the murder. Because why? There was no blood in the Mercedes. Had there been any blood to back up what Cornelius was saying, they would have plastered it front and center to you. Their own lieutenant from crime scene that they did not call tells you no one wiped that car with bleach because luminol or the other star thing, whatever it was, would show that. And if somebody said, I poured bleach on a towel and I wiped that car down, they would be lying. I don't know what world we live in. None of you would buy a pack of gum based on the word of Cornelius Smith. You wouldn't do it. because he's a lying piece of so-and-so that will do anything. Lie to his pretend grandmother, his family, his girlfriend, anybody. And I'm going to prove it to you as we're going to go through a few more slides. And Detective Browning may even be worse, because that's just pure evil, trying to put people in prison based on shaded evidence. Dabney told you the truth, that we didn't do all this other stuff that we should have done. We didn't get around to it, was his quote. He wasn't happy about it, but he told me the truth. The other guy couldn't answer a yes/no question. It was always dodge and deflect, which is what they're taught to do as part of their training when they go and come and testify. These are the people that are policing your streets. You should be ashamed. The only crime that's being committed here today is in this courtroom. It's been committed for the last 3 days. This poor man will never get his life back because of what's happening. He's been threatened because they all think he's involved in the Young Dolph murder, and everybody loves Dolph. Dolph has been threatened for years. He moved away from Memphis 5 years ago. He had 3 old bullets in his body from other times he'd been shot at by people, being in Charlotte, being in Los Angeles. Everybody knew there was a price on his head. There is no plan. There is no plan. I tell you why? Because if I made a plan and I go back to my house across the street with a murder car, are you freaking kidding me? And then they go ahead and call around to see where can we go to get changed. We are across the street from the guy that planned the murder. We don't go to his house to change clothes, but we ride around town until somebody picks up the phone, as you see from the records, and we go to 2-lane while we're bleeding and doing everything else. Have you seen a single photo of Angel Arnold's car, the Mercedes, or anything that had a drop of blood in it? As if they said, Cornelius is a pathological liar. I don't even know if he got shot on that day, because you have to ask yourself. There is a bullet lodged in his shoulders, he told you. For a freaking month, he didn't get infected. He didn't have a problem. He just put some bandages on it and it was okay. Please, for the love of God, this is insane that I even have to talk to you about this. If this is what is sufficient evidence for first-degree murder, we're all in trouble because you're going to be next. Assault, all these charges they gave you. There's 15 different ways they're trying to convict this guy. I didn't assault anybody. He didn't assault anybody. He didn't aggravated assault anybody. He didn't solicit anybody. He didn't facilitate anybody. He didn't act at whatever age anybody. It didn't happen. All the text messages, all the phones, everything that showed you. Have you seen one single message from Justin Johnson or Cornelius Smith that says, hey, bro, let's go shoot somebody? I gave you tons of messages over their objection where Justin Johnson is talking to other people, talking about killing people. They weren't discreet about it. Where is a single message to Govan from any of these people over the course of 4 months that says, we're going to do this? Can we get your permission? We're going to give you $10,000 or $38,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 or $1.5 million. You think if they would have had it, they wouldn't have shown it to you? They know the truth is the text messages are only about music because he's friends with Justin. I'm sorry, Justin's not a nice guy. They all live in the same neighborhood. They've all known each other. Just because you have, quote, communication doesn't mean you're in a conspiracy to kill someone. Cornelius. Let's go with the slides. This will speak for itself, and I'll let you think about it because I've hammered the point about didn't prove it. I don't need you to say he didn't do it if you don't want to, but they absolutely, for God's sakes, didn't prove it. Let's go to the next slide. All right, so excuse me. So you see this, what the government says? Angel Arnold. Absolutely. This is Star Defense Exhibit number 1. This C, bruh, assuming C is Cornelius. Send me bruh number so I can get my phone, right? He needs to get his phone. Next slide. Quez's number. Guess what he told you is the one honest thing he said. His brother's freaking name is Marquez Smith. They called him Quez. His brother is the one that got the phone at best. You know why? Because they had TBI Garner up here. They asked him to do location data analysis on the phone, right? You guys remember all that? And they did it solely for Cornelius' phone, and they did it for Justin's phone. But yet they didn't show you any location analysis. All All they have to do is say, it's in that general area, this is where the tower's being, because calls are being made. Where was this call from? Where was his brother Quest? They just BS you constantly, and here I am fighting for this man's life. He is your peer. You need to be here protecting him from this. This is the crime. Next. So I'll just go over a few things on Cornelius Smith. I think that was pretty obvious from his statement. Go ahead, Robert. I think all this is obvious. You got a sociopath on your hands that's out there on his daughter's birthday. Is he intoxicated? He's not intoxicated. Just ask the prosecutor to tell you a straight answer, honestly. Do you even think the prosecution would take advice from Cornelius Smith on anything? But it's good enough for this poor man's life. My dad used to tell me, you know how somebody's honest? Would you loan him money? Raise your hands if you're going to loan Cornelius money. Because that's the crux of the whole case. And a bunch of BS cell phone records that don't tell you anything. Because they didn't do the location analysis. They can't give you a single text message that says we agree to do anything. And we know it was at least 4 months between the so-called meeting between multiple shootings that Cornelius did and when Justin went out. Next. And if you're not biblical, I'm sorry, but growing up that way, it's just used to be told the truth never changes. You don't need to remember it. You don't need to practice. While we're meeting with prosecutors and the lawyer just now report, I don't want a deal. I'm just here out of the goodness of my heart. I'm going to get a mandatory life sentence. Insane. Next. We also showed you the letters from Cornelius that he sent to his sister saying, I've got that lawyer that you paid for. It's this guy's lawyer, and that guy cooperated against somebody else and walked from a murder. That's what you have in black and white in Cornelius' own handwriting. And that is what all of you said when I said, what would you do to avoid a life sentence? You guys said, probably anything. All right. We know this to be true. Next. And we know all this to be true. Next. And we all know this didn't happen. It just didn't happen. His story just didn't happen. And both he and Angela said it. Because, remember, he had talked to his family to go see Angela between the 14th of December, her first statement where she didn't know nothing about nothing, and the 17th of December when she's decided. And note how they have to prompt her to ask, could it be somebody with the name Q? And note, they had to ask her, didn't he forget something? Didn't he tell you something he might have forgotten or something that he needed? They had to prompt her. This is 30 days after that. You don't have to remember the truth. This was the biggest day in somebody's life, you would think. I just killed Dolph. I'm running around, and she can't remember who the guy was that picked up the stuff at pressure room. Oh, shocker. There's a few cameras at pressure room. They had the absurdity to tell you, well, do you know how long the camera might be working or how long it records? You know how to find that out? Maybe go there and ask them. We've had Ring cameras and other things like that for a decade. It always goes to the cloud, and most likely it's going to be preserved for a year or so, which is what most businesses would do, especially in a dangerous part of town. And guess what? You have those crazy MPD cameras everywhere. You drive home, you'll see them. It's got the little blue thing coming out of it. I've showed you some of those from right around the area. Nobody checked any of them. You don't have to take my word for any of it, because everything I'm going to tell you is going to be backed up by independent evidence. You don't have to trust me for anything. You don't know me. But I want independent proof before I get in bed with a murderer with a machine gun that shot a guy 20 times in broad daylight, and thank God he didn't kill anybody else in that movie shot. And this is who they're in bed with. Next. All right. Sorry, I just have to calm myself down. The other things with the shenanigans, as they try to tell you, is when the officer accidentally said, I don't even know if it was Justin something, I think he said that, but he said, AKA Dolph, I'm sorry, not Dolph, drop in that. And Mr. Cornelius says, yeah, I met him through miscellaneous in a moment of weakness. And you know, when I asked about it, you smiled. You have murdered somebody, and we're up here chuckling. The government's chuckling with him, and he's laughing at me, making smirky faces, and says, I saw you on TV. That's the behavior you want from a guy that took a machine gun and murdered people. In fact, his definition is, I didn't shoot that many people because sometimes we didn't get the shots off or the gun jammed. And you're going to make a deal, not a single text message anywhere. Take my word for it. And oh, by the way, I think he's a federal snitch, but I don't know if I believe that or not because he's never snitched on me. All right, next. And then he also tells Uncle Ron, maybe we should have gone and talked to him, whoever Uncle Ron is, but I'm not a policeman, and I'm not trying to put anybody in prison. That there was a bug on him, that he's a snitch, and so you're going to have to plan a big old murder. Next slide. So we know he paid for his lawyer, and we know that was a team issue, and you know the absurdity of the prosecutor in the last statement. They're going to get to go up again and call me every kind of name in the book, which is fine. I can handle it. I will take those arrows for this man that I've grown to care about over the last year and a half because he didn't do it. They had the audacity to tell you we can't indict somebody that's dead. Shook died 2.5 years after all this happened. Remember, Justin Johnson was indicted in December of 2021, about a month after this happened. Cornelius was indicted in January of 2022, about a month and a half after this happened. There is no investigation done in 2023 or essentially 2024. It was done. They indicted and gotten who they wanted. So at some point, you got to ask yourself, what happened here? And I have no idea. It's not my burden to prove their screw-ups. If you believe Cornelius, he says Jook is the one that set it all up. His girlfriend said that. Then they backtrack and say, well, he was there and he set it up, didn't go there. None of it happened. Keep going. And with Miss Arnold, I don't know how you date a murderer that's been domestic violence to me, stolen from me, done this. I don't know what her issues are. I fault her not. She's just doing what the man's telling her to do. They've had visits, they've talked about it, and her story is still iffy as far as that goes. And God bless her. I hope none of you would be with a essentially soon to be convicted murderer for 4 years after all this happened. Right, next. And the interesting thing there was, we keep talking about the car on Bradley. Bobby Carter also lives on Bradley, and Bobby Carter was involved in the shootings with Mr. Cornelius. And in fact, Angela says Bobby was involved in the Dolph shooting as well. Next. All right, we already know this as far as the jail calls and the family coming to see her. Next. And we also know about the varying amounts of money this whole thing was worth. So now we get to the meat and potatoes of a few things I want you to consider. Remember, the two pillars to this case is you got to believe Cornelius Smith. And the judge has told you over and over again, you have to have that agreement. You got to believe it's out there, otherwise nothing. They've come up with 15 different methods from murder to second degree to 30. I don't care if it's 47th degree murder. None of this stuff happened. There's no assault. There's no solicitation. There's nothing. So let's talk about the detectives. Next slide, please. All right, so the Detective Browning, the all-powerful Detective Browning, told you that Govan last talked. Oh, I'm sorry, I got my slides mixed up. We know Dabney, who actually I respect and had a nice talk with. He said they didn't do it straight up. Didn't try to sugarcoat it. We just didn't do it. Didn't go to pressure roll to confirm anything this man was saying. Tells you straight up, we didn't go to AutoZone. Tells you straight up, there was no relevant evidence of AutoZone. So this mystical receipt that's all crumbling, you can't tell what it is. That's supposed to be some kind of evidence now. And they didn't get around to investigating Joe, who was on Team Cornelius or whatever you want to call it. At least he was honest enough to tell you that. Next. So these are the slides you saw yesterday with Detective Browning. And this is where the evil of it all comes in. He did these call detail records for you. And this slide cuts off at 11:16 at 3:01:17. Right? They stopped it right there. I've highlighted it for you. That was the slide. You might wonder, Manny, what's the big deal about that? It's just some phone call to somebody, no biggie, right? Yeah, he's talking to Cornelius here, no problem. But guess what? If they would have given you the full story on the slides where they're trying to bias you, next slide, you see on the same 11/16 at 5:37:15, this is Jook's number, and he spent a 6-minute phone call. It's not on the slide. I had to pull that off the call data records that you're gonna have a thumb drive. You will never find it or see it because there's thousands of pages of call information out there. But you see, this thing stops up there at 3 o'clock. They don't tell you this part. But Justin Johnson talked to Jook before the murder and also sent him a turkey emoji. If you are a law enforcement officer, your job is to investigate and the facts go where they may. You don't have a job to convict people. That is why I respect Gatton. He made a mistake, he owned it. Browning is a liar, pathological liar through and through. Next slide. So I take this where Browning also told you that they last talked to Govan on November 5th. You remember an opening statement that told you Justin Johnson had not talked to Govan for at least 2 weeks prior to the murder. No communication whatsoever. But they try to tell you that, oh yeah, on November 5th, he must have talked to Govan. And then Cornelius last talked to Govan on November 15th. Just remember those. It was very specific that they argued. So let's go to the next slide. So what you'll see is on November 5th of 2021, this is Govan's number. Her name is Govan. He's getting a call from Justin Johnson. You see this? This is the communication they had on November 5th. How many seconds is that phone call? Let me break it down to you. Zeros. It never went through. There was no phone call for at least 2 weeks. No text messages. Nothing. And this is the guy I'm supposed to be planning a murder with the most famous person in Memphis. Are you kidding me right now? All right, next slide. So there's an old movie that said the tail wagging the dog. You've got Cornelius telling him what they want to say as he tells you he likes to do. And everything they're trying to do is back up what Cornelius says. There is no explanation why they didn't go talk to Jook or bring him down for questioning. There's none. There's none. All right, next slide. So just go through here. That's 10, 12 phones out there. Go through all of them. Find me a text message where a single human being tells Hernandez Govan, we need to do something. That's evil, that's violent, that's criminal. Browning told you he just came up with these slides just a day or two before all this happened, because this is 4 years after the fact. And I'm seeing the slides for the first time. And the slides are complete BS because they keep misleading you about stuff. And so if the incriminating text existed, they would have showed them to you. They've cut off records in half so you can't see the rest of the story. Go to the next slide. We know he agreed with me that these text messages, there's thousands of them with Justin Johnson. It's about music because Justin was in videos and all that stuff, and Govan was there. He was a colleague, a friend, whatever you want to call it. That doesn't make you a murder criminal. And we know he talked to Cornelius about pills. 14 communications is what they call it. What they don't tell you is how many of those 14 actually went through. What were the phone call codes? Remember, 11 is important because that goes to voicemail, or it could be two-way, or the call goes through properly. Is it a text message? I don't know. Last night I'm talking to my daughter just about her boyfriend. Between okay, yeah, no problem, I had 16 communications with my daughter in a span of like 3.5 minutes. It doesn't mean anything, and you can't presume you know what the communications are about if, in fact, for the love of God, they even went through. I've already shown you one bald-faced lie about the government right there. There was no call on November 5th. Keep going. So we have the turkey emoji, we have the 6-minute phone call, and you know this secretive plan, PRE, as his bodyguard told you, this is social media. They do this every year. This is what they do. Remember, he's a man of the community. They put it out there. Everybody knows they're doing turkey emojis every year. Most of you probably know about this. Next. All right, skip this. Let's go to the next one. And then we have this. It's not anything I could get voluntarily out of that man. We had to press and press and press to show that Justin Johnson already knew Joe. Didn't need our guy to do any of it. That is why you will never see a single text message of any incriminating nature. Because I can promise you, had it said anything, a comma out of place, they would have it plastered up here on the board and say, see, we got him, we got him. Next. All right, so Garner, he said, MPD asked me to do what? Location analysis on a couple of phones, Justin's and Cornelius's. All you have to do is plug in a number on a computer. We could have done it. Hey, it's also pinging off pressure level. Maybe more believable. Even if you choose not to go there, you can just ping it. You don't need the actual phone if you've gotten rid of it, because you can just order the CDRs from the phone companies, he told you. He did cell phone tower analysis for a very short amount of time, and then it just stops. Is this kind of investigation in Memphis we call sufficient to put somebody in prison for life? And none of the other phones were done. Where was Chuck? Hell, where was anybody else in this case? Next. All right, we've got this, so covered that. Go next. We covered the AutoZone thing. I just respectfully ask, if the audacity to put a crumpled receipt in front of you that you can't read and just say, Detective Browning, I just know this now. It is not mentioned in any police report anywhere. As I asked him, he couldn't answer the question. But now suddenly it shows up in the phone. We know Dabney knew this was garbage because they talked about the auto part from earlier. You can't put a date, time, place on it. It's all what they call red herrings to mislead you. Think there's something nefarious out there and just use your imagination to convict people. You would never let this happen if it was somebody you cared about when you saw this. Some of you might be supervisors. If this half-assed work is what they brought to your desk, you would fire that person immediately. And don't say you wouldn't, because you would, because it makes you look bad. This whole county is a freaking embarrassment with regards to this trial, and the whole world is watching, and this is what we've got. All right, next. And then the last thing is you got to ask, if I set up the plan, I don't know if I'm having the murder car come to my house. And if I have the murder car come to my house, why don't people just come inside and change clothes there instead of riding around all over town trying to find a place to go change? And again, I know you may think I'm crazy, but there's no blood in that car. Was this even the right Mercedes as far as that goes that they got? You remember Treon Ingram and another gentleman had stolen that Mercedes a while earlier. Treon Ingram didn't come and testify because Treon Ingram picked up another murder right after that. Where did the blood go? Cornelius told you point blank, no ifs, ands, or buts, and your girlfriend. I took bleach and I wiped it down. And the lieutenant from CSI with 28 years of experience says that just didn't happen. Where's Angela's car? Remember, she said he was bleeding all over. Where's the evidence of any of that? All right, next. So all I do is cross my hands and beg you guys, he is your peer. There is no evidence here. You would never accept what's happened in this courtroom in your own personal lives to make any decision of any kind. And he deserves that same respect. There is nothing here. They're going to get to come back up again. Remember, we talked about first impressions. You need to use your minds, your eyes, your ears, and your noses and call the sniff test BS on this whole thing that they're about to give you yet again. There's nothing here. There's no solicitation, there's no facilitation, there's no assault, there's no murder, there's not a text message, there's not a phone call worth a damn, and they aren't telling you the story. Make them tell you, why didn't we investigate Chuck? Make them tell you, why didn't we investigate all the people that helped these folks escape? And if you want to talk about conspiracy, how did he conspire or solicit Justin Johnson? Have you heard anything about that? Who's Jamarcus Johnson? Have you heard a single word out there? They're all together in a conspiracy. All you have is Cornelius' word. He's the linchpin of this whole case, and none of us would trust him. And we sure as hell wouldn't want him much. And then we have phone records that actually exculpate. But if you make it all nefarious and have a sleazy detective get up there and talk about it, sounds pretty good. He didn't do it, but you don't have to take my word for it. They didn't prove it. If this case gets a conviction, then I just need to stop being a lawyer because the system is shot to hell. Thank you.
Are you kidding me right now? Spencer just called the whole city of Memphis stupid and dumb. Everybody from the DA to the police officers to the prosecutors, he called y'all dumb. Called everybody, all one of them dumb. Are you kidding me right now? This case is not about the prosecutor. This case is not about Juke. This case is not about Justin. This case is not about Cornelius. This case is about Hernandez Govan. He is the person on trial, not the city of Memphis, not the DA, not the prosecutors, not you, Hernandez Govan. That's who we are here about today. That's what this proof has been about. Embarrassed. Who should be embarrassed? Hernandez Govan. He is the person that made the choice to get engaged in this conspiracy. He made that choice. We've talked about choices. There are a few things in life that we can control, and our choices are one of them. What choices did Hernandez Govan make? You've heard that over the last few days of the choices that he's made. His choices led us here today. All right, police, they say they didn't do a good job. Convenient story. Something, novel. Because they didn't arrest everybody has to be arrested for them to do a good job. There was a twofold investigation. Sergeant Browning and Sergeant Dabney both told you that. It's very convenient that that part was left out of the defense's argument. There's a twofold investigation. Homicide and MGU. Those are two different entities within the Memphis Police Department. There was an ongoing investigation. And as Ms. Williams mentioned in her closing statements, this is a conspiracy. It's ongoing. To let you know that they were still investigating. Look at the call records. Look at when those call records were received. Now, defense will have you believe that, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of call records. There are. But guess what? You'll have access to all of that, and they're on a flash drive. You can search. You can put in the numbers that were given to you. When things happen, what happened with those calls? They're there for you. There's no hiding. There's no putting them aside. They're there for you to look at. So I wanted to clear up that misstatement. The focus at the time of the incident, November 17, 2021, was on a homicide. It was not on who went to AutoZone or who went to Pressure World. The focus was on a homicide. A person was dead. The defense never mentioned that we are talking about a dead person. Dead. It's everybody's issue and fault but Hernandez Govan. The police didn't kill Adolph Thornton, Cornelius, and Justin killed Adolph Thornton. But who put them together? Hernandez Govan. Look at the PowerPoint presentation that Sergeant Browning provided. It has communications that contact log was put in there for Juke and Justin on the same day about July 27th, around that time. They looked like they exchanged numbers. And if they knew each other before then, they wouldn't have had to exchange numbers. They would have already had each other's numbers. Look at that. Look at the call detail records of Cornelius Smith. You'll see about the first time he had contact in his phone anyway with Hernandez Govan was about July 25th, 2021, around that time. All you have to do is plug the numbers in. It's not rocket science, as he'd have you believe. Hernandez Govan put these individuals together. In Govan's investigation, Govan's role in this conspiracy, as far as MPD was investigating, really didn't start until Angela Arnold gave a statement. Now, if we are to believe anything Angela Arnold says, then we are to believe call records, which Sergeant Garner said they don't lie. They're the records. They are what they are. So we can't believe that. We're not supposed to believe Angela either. We're not supposed to believe anything that's happened. The records are what the records are. But they bring in Sergeant Coburn or Lieutenant Coburn. Officers are bad. They don't do a good job. But he wants you to, well, this officer did a great job. Just this one that we bring in. He did a great job. Cornelius will tell you, he didn't just get a whole thing of Clorox and pour it all over the car and wipe it down. He said he sprayed some substance on a towel and wiped. He was still hurt. It was in the dark. He was in a rush. He was scared probably that Govan was going to come out and shoot him or do something because he was across the street from his house. But you want us to, defense wants you to believe that all the officers are bad, they did everything wrong, except that part. The investigation was ongoing. Look at the call records. Look at when they were done. And you can still investigate. Because you want someone arrested tomorrow, it doesn't mean the evidence is all there. At this point, Jook is dead. Bobby Carter's dead. Joshua Taylor's dead. We can't arrest them. We're not digging them up from the ground. They are dead. That point is dead. Browning just analyzed the numbers that were there. Garner said the records are what they are. They come from the phone company or from the phone. All Browning did was analyze it to say, hey, these many calls came from this individual, this many contacts. That's all Browning was brought here to testify about. But because those records show Hernandez Govan communicating with the conspirators throughout the summer, throughout the fall, from July until November, well past November 17th, at least November 20th of 2021, oh, Browning's a liar too. And when all he did was analyze the records. The records were made by Mr. Govan. Defense also brought up that basically Justin Johnson had access to Jook on his own, basically. But we know that Govan made that connection. July 27, 2021. We know that. We see that in the call records. We see it. Govan already had Jook's information. Govan already had Justin's information. This was by July 27, 2021. Govan had Cornelius' information. Govan texts Justin addressed the Juke Smoke Shop, and the contact was created between the two while they were there. But guess who did not have contact with Juke? Cornelius. He was a part of this conspiracy as well. And he got up here and he testified, and he told you that he really didn't have much contact with Juke. Guess who he was communicating with? Hernandez Govan. That's who he was communicating with. And let's look at the definition of conspiracy. You just have to create that at least with just one other person. So if you take defense at his word that Justin Johnson had other conspiracies going on and this was something separate, Hernandez Govan was still egging on Cornelius. He promised to get Cornelius paid. Cornelius didn't have direct access to Juke. He told you he was trying to still get his money. December 2nd, 2021, he sent a message from Angela Arnold's phone via Instagram message. He said he couldn't just straight out put that, hey man, I want my money. I did what I was supposed to do. He said he sent him a message trying to get his attention. A week later, he's arrested. But Hernandez Govan was the link between all of them. Hernandez knew Juke. Even if the order, if it did, that's still being investigated. But if the entire hit came from Juke, it was communicated to Govan, who then put it out to Justin and Cornelius. Hernandez Govan did that. The defense also makes the assertion that for 2 weeks, Hernandez Govan didn't have any kind of contact with any of the people who did the killing. He didn't have contact with Cornelius. He didn't have contact with Justin. The phone records will tell you that that is not true. It's simply not true. The phone records are there. There was contact. There was contact the day before. There was contact the day before that. There was contact days before that. And even if they didn't talk on the phone, what is stopping them from walking to this house? Communication is there. Doing everything to take away from the fact that this trial was about Hernandez Govan. And there's nothing that says, okay, if we don't talk within 2 weeks, that all of this is out the window. Nothing in the jury instructions that the judge gave you or read to you said, all right, this conspiracy ends if we don't talk in a week. This is not girlfriend and boyfriend stuff. This conspiracy was ongoing. Hernandez Govan is just trying to pull himself away at this point. But this, Justin and Cornelius, they were put together by Govan. It's been reiterated several times. All right, even if you believe what the defense says, say Justin was conspiring with others. Okay, two things could be true at the same time. But what we do know that shortly before the turkey drive, Cornelius said that Hernandez Govan called him and Justin together and was like, hey, y'all know this turkey drive getting ready to come up. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to make this money? Y'all ready to do this? Cornelius told us that. The call records, they show that there was some communication shortly before the turkey drive, the week before Thanksgiving. And Govan just reminded them, this is your mission. This is what you're supposed to do. If you want this bread, you need to make it happen. You need to make sure that you take care of that family that's been out there. You need to make sure this is what you do. So Justin chose, even if there were other conspiracies, just if there were other conspiracies on the side. On November 16, 2021, Justin Johnson chose Cornelius. He chose Cornelius. The same Cornelius that he was introduced to through Hernandez Govan. That same day, Justin Johnson sent Juke a turkey text. It's the same text that defense has entered into evidence. He sent that on November 16th. The defense just showed you there was some communication with Juke on November 16th. On November 17th, again, the day of the murder, the day that Dolph was killed. Even if there were, again, other conspiracies, Justin Johnson chose Cornelius Smith to go on a hunt with him. He chose to go on a hunt with him. He chose him the day before. He chose him on the day of. And Cornelius Smith said the only way he knew who Justin Johnson was because of Hernandez Govan. He told you that several times. Then we talk about Cornelius. Let's talk about his testimony. Cornelius was the state's witness. Prosecutors are probably not going to be hard in screaming at their own witnesses. The point is to get the witness to talk so that you, the jury, can understand what's going on. They're a witness. Cornelius, at this point, has already testified in a previous trial. He has no reason to come in here and lie to you about what he did. He said and told you, as you watched the video of the murder of Adolph Thornton, he told you, that's me with the big gun that killed him. Now, if any part of that is, if he's to lie about, why lie about him killing somebody? That's where you lied. He didn't lie about that. He told you. I did. But I wouldn't have known Justin Johnson except for Hernandez Govan. And he put us together to get this done. He told you, the defense attorney, at least several times, that he was under the influence. You saw the video. Cornelius Smith was up there. He was high. Even the questions that were asked of him were confusing. And he told you, said, I don't remember. I had taken some pills, and we learned he'd been taking pills. So why at that point say anything different? Even Angela Arnold said he took some pills that day. Yeah, he may have been fine, but he told you, I've been doing this for a long time. It may not affect me the same way that it affects someone who doesn't take pills. But in addition to the pills he was taking, he took some Tylenol PM. Defense tried to make it seem like it was just, a headache medicine. But he was getting that edge. He saw the end of the road coming for him. He knew the marshals were behind him. He knew that. He's taking them pills. So they tried to get a statement out of him that day. He's all over the place. He's confused. Doesn't really say much to him. But he gives a statement eventually. And he tells you on the stand what happened. How Mr. Hernandez Govan set all of this in motion. And defense, paints him as a liar. Cornelius said his game to women. Well, Angela, she's still with him. Some kind of game. Letitia Jackson, kid's mother, he had enough game where she took his phone. He handed over his phone to her the day he got arrested. And Miss Ferguson, the neighbor, she said, he's a sweet baby, just sweet as he won't be. Just look. He helped her out. She didn't have a bad thing to say about him. Said he didn't give her $500, or someone didn't give him $500 for Cornelius. How do we know Miss Ferguson is the neighbor that happened to? Live on the street, there's several neighbors. But he brings sweet little Miss Ferguson in. We had nothing bad to say about Cornelius. Cornelius, his testimony was backed up by Angela, by the evidence in phone records, by the murder. All of that is backed up. Okay, you have looks like an AutoZone receipt in a picture crumbled up. You have access to the picture of their receipt. It was a picture that was in the phone that Cornelius took. It was in Browning's presentation. Look at the receipt. Blow it up. Stretch it out. You'll see that was taken, it looks like AutoZone, and it was a receipt from November 20th, 2021. In the end, all of this points back to Hernandez Govan. He got the ball rolling. He kept the ball rolling. He kicked the ball in the end. He introduced Cornelius Smith and Justin Johnson for the purpose of taking out members of PRE. One member of PRE being Adolph Thornton. That's where the conspiracy started. Again, all fingers point back to Hernandez Govan. Justin, Hernandez Govan. Cornelius, Hernandez Govan. Juke, as the defense keeps wanting to throw out, Hernandez Govan. And why go to Hernandez Govan house after they commit the murder? Because that was comfortable for them. No one ever said these were the smartest killers. They didn't plan on getting shot. That wasn't part of the conspiracy. When we get shot, we're going to go here. But they'd already had the getaway car at Hernandez Govan house. So they originally met at Hernandez Govan house back in July. If they would ever meet up during the time of the conspiracy, from June of 2021 until March of whenever they were arrested, they would meet at Hernandez Govan's house. Want to go shoot a video? Go to Hernandez Govan's house. They're all in the video. Park your getaway vehicle? Go to Hernandez Govan's house. Park your murder vehicle. Hernandez Govan, that's the person. Now, why did they not go in? Maybe he wasn't there right then. Maybe he was like, someone went down, I'm getting out. Who knows? But we know what happened. We know where they went. We know that the murder vehicle was parked there. We know that the getaway truck that they used to get somewhere else was parked in front of Govan's house. We know that. Even Cornelius Smith told you Cornelius Smith told you that Justin wanted him to meet him on the day of the murder. He wanted him to meet at Govan's house. Cornelius said he couldn't get over there. So Justin came and picked him up. Again, all of this going back to Hernandez Govan, as much as the defense tried to deflect and get you to choose different deflections, it all points back to Hernandez Govan. Hernandez Govan had choices. He chose to bring Cornelius and Justin together. He chose to encourage them to have a hunt, to go on a hunt. PRE members, but the biggest bounty was Dolph. He knew that Cornelius had a drug habit and that he needed money. And he played upon that. He preyed upon that. And he put him together with someone who was just as hungry for him. Justin and Cornelius were put together by Hernandez Govan. He chose to ask each of them for a cut of the proceeds. He chose conspiracy. Hernandez Govan chose murder. Adolph Thornton will never get to experience many of the things we take for granted in getting old. He will never get to experience gray hair. He will never get to experience wrinkled skin, crackling knees. He didn't get to choose to grow old. That was taken from him and put in motion by Hernandez Govan. You, the jury, you have a choice. The choice is now yours. You have a choice in whether you hold Hernandez Govan accountable for his role in this murder, for his role in this conspiracy. And I ask that you choose to find Hernandez Govan guilty of murder in the first degree and guilty of conspiracy. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm picking.
All right, y'all. I let it play out because a lot of y'all wasn't here on the first live when we watched it, but that was the closing remarks. Hey, we are back at it tomorrow. Law and Crime has turned off their stream. They have posted. Jury has been retired for the evening, and they're back at it tomorrow. Will we have a verdict tomorrow? We don't know. Could be. I'm gonna be honest. The state's closing was trash. Defense closing was good. State's rebuttal was good. The only thing is with the state's rebuttal, she was trying to go at the defense closing argument so bad, she was mixing up her own stuff. She was confusing some of her own evidence with something else. Okay, she was just doing too much. What to do, Dom? So I feel like she could have lost some jurors in that moment. She definitely had the screaming, she had the enthusiasm, but all this, well, what else? Well, because in the closing, they said, oh, it was 17 communications. But then on the rebuttal, well, okay, even if they didn't answer the phone, who said they ain't walked to the house? Like, what is it? Did they talk or they didn't talk? So it was a lot of discrepancies. Like I said, personally, I don't see during this trial that they proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Govan was part of the conspiracy to commit murder, nor a part of the murder of Dolph. However, the lesser charges that they added, which was accessory after the fact, I do feel like they did their job with that. If I was on the jury, I would go with that. And also solicitation for murder, I could go with that I would be kind of, but I would go with that over conspiracy. Just because what the state don't want you to keep your mind on, when they introduced the PowerPoint from Detective Browning, they want the jury to only hone in that at 7:30 p.m. on July 27, 2021, Govan sent the address to Juke's smoke shop to drop. And then at 9:08, Juke and Drop added each other's phone number to their phone. But see, what the state don't want you to pay attention to, or want the jury to pay attention to, is on that same slide with that, they also have a man by the nickname of Ham that texts Straight Drop at 8:38 and said that he was talking to Juke. So in my mind, okay, so we're gonna go with that Govan introduced Straight Drop and Juke when it was another person who was actually talking with Juke 30 minutes before they put the phone numbers in there. So the jury definitely gonna have to pay attention to detail, because even if you're siding with the state, you still got to pay attention to the details, because that's a big piece. Because it's more believable that a person that's actually talking to Juke 30 minutes before numbers are exchanged is probably the one that did the introductory. And that came from the state's own witness. Okay, earlier today they went back and forth about that because they introduced it on the slideshow. But it's going to be up to how the jurors take it. With that, y'all, I've been on live for over 9 hours today. I'm tired. Okay, we are back at it tomorrow for Verdict Watch at 10:15 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, Eastern time. They are an hour behind us, so 10:15 a.m. Eastern time, 9:15 a.m. Central time, and then what is that? 7:15 a.m. West Coast time. So we're back at it. We're gonna be live, seeing if we get a verdict. Until the verdict, we're live. Long as the feed is up, we'll be live. Okay. So with that being said, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Now pull up on your girl, make it truth. Y'all have a good night. I am out of here.
Mickey talks the truth. Okay. I got truth on my mind. I got truth on my mind. I got truth on my mind. Truth on my mind.
Hey, listen, you are now rocking with Mickey Truth. She live up to her name, not the fame. So make sure y'all subscribe to her channel and stay updated on what's real. Bye.
Good reporting ass Mickey.
We love you, Mickey.
Hold on, wait, before I go, y'all make sure y'all tap in with me to book your slot. A lot of y'all be hitting me up on Instagram and the email wanting to just talk about content, whether you're an up-and-coming content creator or somebody just got questions about cases or whatever. Book your consultation with me now. The information is on the screen. Hey, make sure you get your slot, because my slots be filling up fast.